and I did a telephone town hall in Diane Titus's district in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I got on the phone and I said, you don't know me, I'm a Texas congressman, but a lot of you have been trying to call your member of Congress. You might not have been able to get through. So let me answer any questions that you have about the health care bill. And we talked for 3 hours. And I did the same thing in Boulder, Colorado. The outreach is, if you're willing to do it as a member, there are ways to do it. But office procedure is ultimately the person whose name is on the door is the one who has to answer to people. I can't promise you that every time a zip code from outside of my congressional district is not kicked back. But since I do a lot of stuff later on, I try to get my staff to bring me all the comments because they're important.
There's a good example of leadership.
I went to Mike Burgess's tea party in Benton. I met Mike, talked for way too long, he kicked me off stage. I've been to Mark Davis's tea parties in Dallas. I think we need to talk to the people here in the room of what actually caused all the problems in Arizona down at the border with the rancher and all that we're not hearing.
Weak politicians. Our elected representatives, there's this gigantic misconception out there that, hey, why can't we solve the border problem? Why haven't we solved the border problem? They don't want to solve the border problem. They don't. They right now, what they do, they defund our border fence, which is already federally legislated. They won't put the Border Patrol agents on the border where they want to be. They won't give them the helicopters they need. They won't give them the amount of agents they need. And as a result, 50% of the drugs that come into the United States come from my district.
Did the people in this room know that what caused that was a rancher getting shot with his dog? That's a friend of mine from Argyle, Texas. His family lives down there that have a house in Douglas, and they're scared to death for their lives every day.
And you know what?
But they're not going to leave because they're counting on you to do something about it.
They are, and we take it deadly serious because that rancher's name was Rob Krentz, and his widow, Susie Krentz, comes out to our events, and every time she's just got tears in her eyes as she pours her heart out about what happened and what she thought was going to happen for her. Because, and I know this sounds harsh, Susie would sit and promise to your face that the cartels were coming back for her, that they were going to come back for her. And guess what? A week ago, Susie Krentz was mowed down by a car. She's in stable condition right now.
Know that kind of stuff.
She's in stable condition right now. It is a war zone down there. It really is. They won't go to the mailbox unless they're in a buddy system and they're armed. They check in with their neighbors on the hour. And this is not downtown Chicago here or some slum somewhere. You would look around, it could be here. It is a rural area, ranches, horses. You think, boy, you could send your kids out to play football in the yard. No, you don't. You don't. Home invasions, we hear these things, how horrific a home invasion would be. Someone sneaking in the door while you're there, tying you up, burglarizing your home and leaving. It sounds like something from the movies. It's a daily thing down there. It's the norm. I haven't talked to a single rancher that hasn't had it happen double-digit amounts of time. It is a war zone that you can't even comprehend unless you're there. It is drugs and automatic weapons and violence like you cannot. It's unbelievable. And our state is completely overrun with it. And we talk about healthcare costs. I'm sure that the congressman would know as he's a doctor. Over 40% of the healthcare that's received for free, meaning taxpayer funded in the country, is received by illegal immigrants in an emergency room. I have a good buddy, several on Border Patrol. They walk into an ER. There's over 40 people that he had to go into an ER after he got off work just to see a buddy's wife who just had a baby. Was still in uniform, walked in, over 40 people in the ER. He goes back, sees her, sees the child, everything's good, everyone's happy, walks out. 2 minutes later, the place is empty. Empty, not a single soul there. The nurses were asking if you'd come back every night. Seriously, we have a problem.
Let me ask you, has anyone here heard about the lady being run down?
No.
Do we have
That's why I said that.
a record chronicle reporter in the room?
Leaving church with her friend was mowed down in the middle of the street.
I'm serious. Is there any record chronicle reporter?
No, but there's a Resolute Media Group. We'll be covering it.
Do they know why the rancher got killed? Does anybody know in this room why the rancher got killed?
I beg your pardon?
Does anybody in this room know why the rancher got killed?
No, but I
Why?
think
Because he got caught. He caught the guys that come through his property, stashed a couple $100 of whatever, cocaine or pot on his property. He called the DEA and the Border Patrol. He turned it in. They murdered him and his dog, left them in their car running, shot them both in the back of the head, and tell everybody else, if you turn them in, they're going to come get you. That's a fact. And nobody knows about those things.
Right.
It's a real world.
It is a real world, and it's a scary world, and that's one of those things that it's so easy to just be separated from that. I mean, it is like combat. You just can't understand it unless you go down there. You see the fear in these people's eyes. It's equal parts angering and heartbreaking to know that they've been so abandoned by their government that exists right here in the United States. That's not some third world dump. That's right here in the U.S. They've been abandoned.
Jesse,
I'm just glad to see there's a great guy who loves this country like you do running for this state. Thank you.
I noticed on your website that you're a project manager, and I didn't notice any law degree. I think roughly 70% of Congress people have a law degree.
Yeah.
Can you kind of compare and contrast how your perspective as a project manager would differ from a law type point of view, and how that would help you in your job?
Sure. I actually know how to read a balance sheet. The concept, these people are just, they're unbelievable. The concept that they budget to spend twice as much as they're going to take in is amazing. Not a single one of us, not a single one of them would do that in their personal lives. Yet since it's us writing the checks, they budget that way. They are a bunch of gangsters. They are. People are in prison for what this government is doing to us every single day. It's unbelievable. And the Ivy League talk down to you types up there. The all-seeing, all-knowing president with the Harvard law degree that's never run a lemonade stand. And he wants to nationalize industries. It's what we've done. We talked about this a little bit at lunch. And we don't have time to change course, to move a little bit this way, to pull it back to the right. We need to about face and sprint in the other direction.
The Mexican guy.
What's happening right now in northern Mexico? You guys know this is Texas. And what's happening right now, especially down below us, actually, in northern Mexico, is the cartels are consolidating power, and it's becoming unbelievable. They're beginning to overrun the government. They're beginning to execute mayors, and they're coming after the president. And it's an odd thing in a country that's right below us, where literally the gangs, the cartels, are more powerful than their government. They are. They have more money. They have better military equipment. And here's something we don't know enough either. They have as good equipment as our Border Patrol agents do. They have communication equipment that is as good or better. Firearms that are better because of our weak spine policies. And our rules of engagement, where we can't fire until fired upon, you can't do any of these things. We put our Border Patrol agents in prison for arrest for shooting a drug smuggler. Should be giving them a medal. Amen. They have no rules of engagement. So they have better equipment, better weapons, more people with no rules of engagement. And we have our politicians saying, well, we should just talk more about the problem. It's an embarrassment. Now, by the way, 1 second, sir. We have a portion of Arizona that they have now blocked off from American citizens going into. That because there are so many cartels going through it and so many drugs going through it, our federal government is so weak and pathetic that we have ceded portions of our country to drug cartels. Send in the Marines! Are you kidding? We don't cede portions of this country to the drug cartels, not to anybody, let alone the drug cartels.
Yeah.
So, okay, that bears the question I have.